And yeah, the final one is Jake Gyllenhaal in Southpaw. This is a quote. I trained for 6 hours a day. Now, this is different from Mr. Jackman, Mr. Hugh, Mr. Wolverine, because he said 3, and you could break that down. Simon Miller here to talk to you about a bunch of nonsense once again, and it's one of the most popular fitness questions on YouTube. How did so-and-so get in this kind of shape? How do I look like Brad Pitt? How do I look like this guy? Oh, here's the thing, right? They all obviously have personal trainers and probably getting food delivered to them, but that makes things easier, right? That makes things easier, but that's not what I want to talk about today, because what I want to talk about today is we'll go with lies. We'll go with lies. Well, some of the lies that you read about how certain people got in shape. And I think the problem with this is that you don't know if they're telling fibs or not. So many people take these things verbatim and just assume that it's true when it's 100% not true. So I kind of trawled through the internet and I found some examples just to give you an idea of what you should be listening to, or more importantly, what you shouldn't be. Right, so if you go and read up about Christian Bale, when he went from doing The Machinist to doing Batman, and look, what an incredible body transformation. All the respect in the world to him. I get that he's being paid millions of dollars and loads of people are going to be taking care of his regime. He still did it, and I can respect that. Don't know what else he did, not going to talk about PEDs, blah, blah, blah. There's loads of videos out there that strongly suggest that actors do that. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, maybe you do. You know, there's loads of maybes there. It's the information that they give you though, right? You can still get in good shape without steroids is my point. And I actually read, when I was looking for information about Christian Bale going from The Machinist to Dark Knight, which is, Batman Begins, which is a huge change, because for the extremist, he got anorexic, terrifying thin, and then he bulked up, obviously. And it says that he ate ice cream, ate pizza, and lifted weights. Now, maybe he did do this, right? But when you see him with his top off in Batman Begins, whatever his diet was, he weren't eating that. He just wasn't eating that. Because if you were eating that, unless you've got amazing genetics, which I don't think Christian Bale does, maybe I'm wrong, it's just not going to happen. If I could eat burgers and pizzas and nachos all the time and look big and ripped, I'd be the happiest man ever. At the moment, I'm almost there, but because I don't have that, I can't get to that place. But if you read that, it ties into this dirty bulking stuff you can read. If you want a dirty bulk, good for you. But everything comes with a consequence and a responsibility. And with dirty bulking you're going to put on more fat than if you try and eat cleanly and try and eat healthy. If everybody could just eat a bunch of junk and go to the gym and get massive, that's what we would do. But people may read that and go, well, if Christian Bale did that, I'm just going to go and lift weights and eat pizza and drink beer and do all of that, which you shouldn't be doing. I mean, you can do it. I'm not against it. Again, I always say this, the number one thing is to make sure that you're happy. Because who cares if you're sad? You're sat there with your chicken and broccoli going, go eat a pizza. Rub the pizza in your face. Become the pizza. Make love to a pizza. Just don't tell anyone because it's weird. But it's so bad that information does go around the internet, because unless you're educated about it, you don't know, and you just believe it's not true. The next one is always Brad Pitt in Fight Club. That's the number one question I probably get when it comes to transformations. How do I look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club? I'm desperate to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Brad Pitt in Fight Club is my hero. I must look like him. I'm not here to disrespect anybody. Whatever physique you want is great, but Brad Pitt in Fight Club does not have that much muscle on him. Like, he does have some, obviously, and he's in great shape. Let's not pretend otherwise. But it's not like he's going to step on a Mr. Olympia stage. Like, if you train well and eat well and get your cardio in, you may not look just like that because your genetics are going to be a little bit different. Your body makeup's a bit different. But that is 100% attainable. And there seems to be this idea that it's not attainable. But it is. And that annoys me, because I want you to attain your goals. Just come up with a very simple, basic fitness plan. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a long time. But I would describe him more as lean than muscular in that movie. And I don't mean that disparagingly. People love him in that movie. The movie came out like 20 years ago, and here we are talking about it now. But people always say, well, he must have done this for that movie. And maybe he did, but you can absolutely achieve that without it. So figure out a plan and go do it. How happy you're going to be. Hugh Jackman went from Oklahoma, which is a stage show, to Wolverine. And look, in Wolverine, he is ripped. There's no two ways about it. And again, when you go and read what he did, I'm like, you didn't. And if you did, why was nobody telling you otherwise? For starters, he talks about doing water dehydration. I mean, maybe he means just before he went on set, or maybe the day before, or something like that. I don't know. But I think it's dangerous just to write, I did water dehydration, because then some people may stop drinking water, and it's like, definitely don't do that. And it is a thing, you know, people water cycle before shows, which is essentially, I don't think this is popular anymore, but what you did used to happen is 7 days before you're doing a bodybuilding show, you would drink as much water as you could for 3 days, 4 days, to the point you're literally going to the toilet every 30 seconds. And then for the last 3 days before your show, whatever, you just cut water out entirely. You just flush your system so you look a bit more ripped. And it does work. Some people do that in these crazy, intense diets. But you need to have the facts about that. You can't just write down water dehydration because people aren't going to know what that meant. And he also said he was in the gym for 3 hours a day. You don't need to, I mean, unless he's talking about he did some cardio for an hour and then he trained for a couple of hours. That's okay. But what I read, it was 3-hour weight sessions. And the more weights you do, the better. Maybe he even said 6 hours. Somebody else on this list is definitely a 6 hour. Again, if it was just a matter of go to the gym for a long amount of time, I would go to the gym for a long amount of time. But after a while, it gets counterproductive and counterintuitive, so there's no point doing it. You do not need to spend hours in the gym. Figure out what you're trying to achieve that day, work out your plan, stick to your plan, and know that around about 1 hour 45 is probably going to be fine. Paul Rudd and Ant-Man was a strange one that someone suggested to me, and I went and looked at him, and he has lost a lot of weight. Like, he's dropped a lot of fat and more power to him. And he said the way he did it is for a year, he didn't drink alcohol and he cut carbs. I don't think he was that big. But I always have a problem with cutting carbs because unless you decide to cut out carbohydrates for the rest of your life, and you're not going to, because again, you love pizza, you're going to have sex with the pizza. We've discussed this twice now, which is no one knew when they clicked this video. No one was expecting that, but we've arrived. Let's call the pizza Harry just to make it even weirder. But you are going to have some kind of carbohydrates, and you just cut them all out, especially for a year. You don't know how your body is going to respond when you start eating them again. 9 times out of 10, you're going to pile back on loads of weight because your digestive system's like, I don't know how to deal with this, and it kind of freaks out. You do not need to cut carbs to lose weight. There are loads of ways to do it. Again, calories out, calories in, blah, 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 blah. But it's a myth, not a myth. It's a fad. That's not fair either. It's a thing that people have gone to time and time again. Ever since the Atkins diet in the mid-90s, I think people have decided carbs are the enemy and carbs are death, but it's just not true. You've got to enjoy your diet. A lot of amazing sources come from carbs, so just try and figure it out in a way that you're actually liking what you're doing, and don't buy into this craziness. Michael B. Jordan in Creed is actually a little bit better, but it was still very vague. I read an interview and he went, I ate loads of protein. Move on to the next question. I was like, wouldn't it be great if you actually gave us an idea in case, just because the thing is, people, they hear eat loads of protein and then you get a 200-pound guy eating 500 grams of protein. And they just think you don't need that much protein. If you want to do it, again, good for you. I'll give you a hug. But eventually it's just going to be surplus calories that you don't actually need. And there is this, you get two things. One, you get just eat loads of protein, which you do need to increase your protein, but you need to figure out what works for you. And then two, it's, if you eat too much protein, your kidneys are going to be ruined, which is also an exaggeration. If you're using your protein for muscle growth, not too much will go. I mean, everything's going to process through your kidneys and livers, etc., blah, blah, blah. But a lot of it will be going to your muscles as well, so you kind of balance it out. Just don't think you have to eat a bunch of protein. You likely do have to increase your protein, but that's why you got to sit down and work out your calories, work out your macronutrients so you know where you are. Treat it like a job. I know that sounds rubbish, but it helps. Treat it like a job. Figure out where you want to go, figure out where you are, and then just link it together. Basically be a bridge. And Ryan Reynolds in Blade 3, this was another one that I wanted to point out because everyone not so much anymore. They used to go crazy about it. Do you know what he said when people asked him about what he did? He said, well, all I did was just clean up stuff. Just clean up my diet. My diet before this was abysmal. I ate whatever I want. I drank whatever I want. I didn't really care. And then finally, when I actually did care and got a personal trainer, it all came together. I liked that a bit more because it was simple. I mean, you don't get much more information than that, but it just goes to show. Cut out the bad, introduce the good, start going to the gym, start doing cardio, find whatever it is that's going to make you happy fitness-wise, and you'll start ticking boxes. And that's the problem with these celebrity diets is you don't know everything that they're doing. You don't have all their diet plans. The next one I'll talk about sums that up massively. We've already hinted at it. Just make sure you do what works for you, even if it's just cleaning things up. People know the difference between healthy and unhealthy. You know if you eat a burger and a chicken breast, the chicken breast is going to be better for you. So just keep it simple. And yeah, the final one is Jake Gyllenhaal in Southpaw. This is a quote. I train for 6 hours a day. Now this is different from Mr. Jackman, Mr. Hugh, Mr. Wolverine, because he said 3, and you could break that down. If Jake Gyllenhaal is training for 6 hours a day, even if we're doing it 50-50, 3 hours of cardio and 3 hours of weights is unnecessary. And we've already talked about this. I would love it if it was a question of longevity. I could spend hours in the gym. I am completely at peace and calm, which is why right now I miss it so much. But you do not need to do that. You can go too far in the wrong direction. Again, this is why I wanted to talk about it. People think it's just eat a bunch of protein, go to the gym for ages, and train. Be intense. Don't be kind of long. Intensity is far more important than just being in the place. You don't want to be sitting around too much like that. You want to put your muscles under those tension, and then you want to go home and you want to feed yourself up. You don't. This is why. Just ignore this. Read it because it's interesting, but ignore the celebrity stuff. Because they only do it for like 6 weeks. Anyone can do a diet for 6 weeks, and then they're off to doing something else. Chris Evans, Captain America, he even said, what I did was I trained massively up to that one scene when he comes out of the pod thing after the super serum, and then you can see throughout the movie I go down and down and down because I wasn't able to hold my weight where it was. So it's all a ruse. It's all a lie. It's all a magic trick. It's Hollywood. That's what Hollywood is. That's what movies are. It's show business. I get that it's hard because sometimes you see these people and they look like $1 million and you want to look like $1 million, but they are not looking like $1 million 365 days a year. They're peaking for a certain day and then they're just going back to normality, and you can probably do better than that. You can probably get in the shape and size what you want and you can hold it, and then not everything will be all right. Some things will be all right. Your body will be all right. So there you go. Just something I wanted to talk about. No idea why. I think it's because I got spam with notifications on the internet and I clicked one and I was like, Rrr. So I thought, hey, I got a YouTube channel. I can talk about it. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button. I'd appreciate it. Go to Patreon, patreon.com/SimonMiller316. But mostly I appreciate you being here. See you soon.